Okay, good afternoon and welcome to the 9th and final Digital Classicist London seminar of 2017, when we're extremely happy to be joined by Rada Varga from the University of Cluj-Napoca, who has been working in various aspects of digital classics for some time, in particular epigraphy and prosopography, and is talking to us today about her project Romans One by One, in particular transferring information from ancient people to modern users. So, Rada, up to you.
Thank you. First of all, good afternoon to everybody who is here today. Thank you very much for attending this seminar, and thank you very much for inviting me here to speak today. I'm really delighted. Today's presentation is about to focus on how we make the transition from a research tool destined to the use of only a small circle of researchers, of scientists interested in some very specific topics, to an open access tool available for everyone and interesting for as many users as possible. The tool I am talking about is the database Romans One by One, on developing which I have been working during the last couple of years. And okay, I think I forgot. Okay, share. Okay, I'm okay now, right? Okay. Okay. The point of today's presentation is not going into the details of the database, into the details of either its architecture or its content, but I have to present a couple of aspects, of course, in order for us to understand each other. For the ones of you who have heard already a lot about the Romans One by One, please bear with me, it won't be long. So this is the database. We've constructed it as a tool focused on ancient people, recorded in written sources. We didn't mean for it to be a source aggregator, because we have a lot of source aggregators which are very good and we can use them very, very well, and that was not something I think it's necessary to have. But it was destined for the study of prosopography, for social network analysis, for microhistorical reconstructions in which you need the biographical information, very precise biographical information about people coming from a certain area, from a certain social layer, or having a certain occupation. I don't know, anything which is related to the study of people, of persons. This is how the research database, we have it here. It's the research database. The resolution is weird a bit on this laptop, but this is the research database, and this is the online tool. I've logged in the research database already, and this is how it looks. So we have these 4 tables are the main tables of the database. They are the core of the database, and architecturally speaking, the whole metadata is constructed around these tables. And as you can see, we have here a lot of other tables which contain various types of information and which are useful for us, for the ones who are filling in data in the database and who are working on very specific prosopographical matters. Now, of course, when we did the transition, when we started thinking about the transition to an open access tool, I'm not going to say an online tool, because this version, this research database, is online as well, and it can be accessed through login. We have guest accounts, so who's very interested in all the details of the database can access it. But for other users who are interested in maybe more general aspects, we had to see, first of all, how we make it presentable, so to say. We have more or less 250 fields. You see, more than 30,000 rows and over 140 search filters. I will get back to the search filters. This is not big data. So if we are speaking about in sociological terms, this is far from being big data, clearly. And we have about 13,000 persons ingested so far. But it is a lot when you have to present it to an external user, to somebody who doesn't know how you've imagined the architecture of this tool, and who maybe is not interested in all the specifics, especially this. So I'm going to present from this point on. If you have more questions about the database, please ask me now or at the end of the presentation. I'm going to explain what we've done, a couple of the things we've done, a couple of the decisions we made in certain situations when we had certain doubts. And in the end, I'm going to present some of the things we haven't done. Some of them we want to do, others we are not exactly sure about how we are going to do it, or if we are actually going to do it. We're still deciding on certain matters. So as you can see, this is very much a work in progress, and any kind of feedback is very useful. I don't think that at this point there is negative feedback, because we are hands-on this. Of course, when you go from a certain database, which is being used by 3, 4, 5 people, to an open access tool, the first thing you do is cleansing and standardization. Cleansing, because even if all the data entry operators were specialists and were well trained, everybody makes mistakes. Of course, you have all kinds of mistakes which have to be removed. I'm sure that in the online version we still have all kinds of mistakes, but at least less than before. And then comes standardization, in which case you have to make certain decisions. We had a set of rules, but again, you change the rules as you go sometimes, and other times, of course, you realize that certain ideas were stupid. I am going to give a couple of examples regarding this standardization process. So first of all, it's the names transcription. One of our main desiderates was to remain very faithful to the source. So we try not to give implicit information, to give only the information that we have on the monument, on the written source. We have an observation field, which is destined to this editorial comments, because some of them are more or less editorial comments. Otherwise, we try to stick to the source. But there was the case of the names. So I'm going now on the online. This is what anyone can see. There was this matter of the names of the Roman praenomina, which in many cases are abbreviated on the stone. So you have T for Titus, let's say. You know for sure that it's Titus. We decided in the second phase of our work, of our standardization process, we decided that we will put the whole praenomen, or you have AEL, it's Elius, it's clearly Elius, it cannot be anything else. We thought that maybe putting the abbreviations when you know for sure what they stand for, it's a bit too much. Then there were an interesting case was related to the ages. We are registering ages at death, because this is what you have on monuments generally. And we decided to register them using Latin numerals. In this case, it was not because we wanted to be very faithful to the source, because I don't think this is a problem if you use Arabic numbers, but it was something else. So for example, we have 20, I filled in 20, and we are going to the age column. And sometimes you have this kinds of situation. So you cannot read the whole numeral because the monument is deteriorated. How do you express this in Arabic numerals? You cannot, because you don't even know that it's 20 something, maybe it's 30 something, maybe it's 40 something. So we decided to use the Roman numerals because it was easier to show where we have gaps and how large a gap is and what we know and what we don't know from that age. As you can see, it can be here, it can be here, and so on. Another matter which
you still search for ages numerically? Because you search for XX, which obviously found lots of people who were not 20.
No, you cannot. And yes, probably you're right, we should do this. We should try to make the search, but then if you're looking for 20, you will only find the age 20, not 20 something, not 19 written as in Latin. So yeah, we have a couple of rules, of search rules. This one among them, which we've posted online so that people know how to search certain fields. I think every tool of this kind has this small glitches or personalized stuff, and you have to explain it clearly to the users. As I was saying, another matter which needed to be standardized was the name of the places, because you have the Latin names appear on the Latin or the Greek names appear on inscriptions in all forms, in many forms, so we decided. I'm just opening an inscription. To have a place of discovery, which is this is from Pannonia, from Hungary, which is the modern place name because it's normal, the place of provenience and the ancient name of the place of provenience. Ideally, you have all three of them. Many times you don't, of course. We intend to link the places, so now the place is just the written name, it's not a link. We intend to link them to Pleiades. We haven't done it yet, but we will. Please.
Sorry to just briefly go on that. You talk about Pannonia Superior, which is the ancient Hungary. Is this site in what is modern Hungary or in the modern Romania?
Hungary.
It's in Hungary.
Yes, it's in Hungary.
Because the borders don't coincide.
No, in today's Romania, only Dacia. You have only the province of Dacia and Mercia inferior at the Black Sea. No, so Pannonia is in Hungary, and the Comaron is in modern Hungary. And we went for in the case of the ancient name, we went for the canonical form, not the form which is attested in the inscription, which sometimes can be wrong. We have in the inscription file an observations field where we can say the name of the place is spelled, I don't know how. Okay. Another matter on which we had to decide if we keep or we don't keep, or how we keep it if we do, was connected to certain fields which were implicit information. As I said, we have been trying not to focus on those too much and to make a distinction between what's written on the source and what we imagine or what we think about what's written on the source. And these fields were created most of the times due to some personal interests of some of us working on the project. For example, we have in the personal data file, I'm opening the files as they look when you fill them in. Of course, this is not available. I won't focus on them, just to give you an idea. And we have the names, at the various name particles, we have ethnicity fields. In the online tool, I'm opening again just the name. We don't have this field anymore, this ethnicity field name, because this is too subjective, definitely too subjective. And as you see, we are talking about ethnicity of the names anyway, not etymology. Because if it would have been etymology, it would have been a bit more simple. It's Latin, it's Greek, it's Semitic, the etymology is generally clear. But here we are talking about the predominance of a name in connection with a certain area or province or population, as you have Latin names, etymologically speaking, but which in 90% of the cases come from the Celtic provinces. You have names which can be Celtic or Thracian, even if the etymology is Latin or the etymology is unclear in itself. So this was clearly, well, the personal work of one of our team members, but I didn't believe that it has to do anything with the actual source, with the actual text, and this is not available online. As I said, for who wants the whole CSVs and all this information, they are available upon guest login. That's not. I've opened another file on which we have more fields so that I can use it further on as well. Another thing which we had or the encodings. We had encodings made on certain types of information. We have this on occupations. So we have occupational titles. We have here the occupations table where you can see all the occupations with all the encodings. In order to explain all the encodings, we would have needed an article, basically a paper written on this. On one side. On the other side, it doesn't mean that I mean, obviously, these are not undisputed. I might have considered, I don't know, our effects only a producer. Somebody else might consider that he was a seller, a merchant as well. So this is arguably, clearly, and it's not explicit information coming from the source, so we didn't keep that. Let me show you how it looks in the open access tool. So we are going to look for an occupation, I don't know, negociant, let's say, because we surely have this. And you have occupation title, and that's it. Another type of encoding which we had and which was very dear to me, but I had to accept that it doesn't have anything to do in the other database. Is the encoding of relationships. If you are doing any kind of quantitative analysis, this is very easy to have because you have field with the encodings, and it's very easy to make statistics on that, or network analysis, or whatever. But this again was our own personal research interest, and I gave it up for the open access tool. I will get back at this later, but I've kept at least the link on the relationship, and you can see all the other relationship of that type. But I will get back shortly to the matter of the links and okay. So these were some of the decisions we had to make while going from personal tool to open access tool. I think I realize now that I didn't mention at the beginning. Our main project was focused on the people attested epigraphically in Dacia and Murcia. This is what the online database has. It doesn't have all of them at this point, but it will in a month or so. So all the people attested in the epigraphy of Dacia and Murcia will be online. As you can see here in the research database, we have much more persons. There aren't so many persons attested in these 3 provinces. This is because we also have associated projects of various persons, some of us, some externals who just began to work on the database, and they have people coming from other areas, or from other fields. For example, I have registered all people who mention occupations on their monuments in the Latin language provinces of the empire. So this is not an area, it's a type of inscription. All of them will go online when each author wants to do that. Of course, everybody decides about their personal work, if they want to put it online now, later, or never. I hope that it's not the case for never, but anyway. Good. Other thing which definitely had to be solved was, I am going to, I don't know, show you how it is. So here we have these personal files in the research database. Here you have the inscription acronyms, the codes of the inscriptions. Here you have the relationships. Well, if you want to look at this inscription, you have to copy it. Open the inscriptions table. Search for it. And there you go. Here it is. The inscription file with a link. We've linked to 1 or 2 main inscriptions databases because we didn't want to put pictures or too much details on the inscriptions because they are already available online. It's no point in doubling information. But as you see, and the same you do with the persons. You know this person, you're going back to the personal data table, you're filling in by the no cognomen field, and you look for it. It's complicated. It's okay for us because we got used to it, but nobody was going to do that, clearly. So we had to do this, and we've put links on here you have the inscription code, and it's a link, and you go directly to the inscription file. As well, I kept in the personal file of the personal file of the person, I've kept the inscription link because I thought that maybe somebody doesn't want to go to my inscription file, but will go directly to the EDH. It seemed fair and easier for a user. I mean, it's something I would want to find if I'm using an online tool. As well here, at the persons, at the related persons, each person has an ID. Of course, we cannot work on unique ID without that. And we've put a link on it as well. And it takes you to the personal file of the related character. As I already told you, we've also put these links on the relation type. This is arguable, obvious. We could put links on the occupation title, on deities, on military titles, on everything. I am not sure if this is really doable because it will slow the database. I don't know. I don't know how much it will slow it, and if it will now or in time. So this is something we are still thinking about. Okay. I think these are the main things I wanted to present in this section of the presentation. Now we are getting to the more complicated bit with the things we haven't done. Things that come to mind when you're thinking about creating an open access tool is that you want it to look user-friendly. You want the people who use it to be able to use it quickly and to like it, or at least not to dislike it. We will solve this problem this year. So we actually, our IT specialist is a database, it works with databases, with constructing databases. She's not a web designer and she's not very much into this artistic part. This is one of the most important things we want to do this year, to give it a friendly interface. Now it looks like the database, not like the research database we are using. The open access tool looks the same basically, and it's not very pretty indeed. Directly connected to this are the search filters. As I've said, we have a lot of search filters. I mean, I think 140 search filters, it's a lot. But I wanted search filters for every field because I thought that if you're working with prosopography, it's very important to be able to filter information by as many criteria as you can. It would be useful for me, and I'm sure it is useful for others. Here are the filters. They look terrible. I know, and I know it's very difficult for somebody who has not used this before to use it. It's not impossible, but actually in the open access database, I've added a couple of filters instead of removing filters, because I thought that you have to be able to filter people, not only inscription, by discovery place, provenience place, province as well. At personal relationships, I added a couple of filters because I thought, again, that you have to be able to look for certain province. So you can look for, I don't know, I'm just saying, you can look for a certain relationship attested in a certain province. It isn't relevant to me somehow. But the thing is that we are going to split these filters. into a general search where we will have a couple of filters, 2, 3, 4 relevant filters, and an advanced search where we will put all the others, which are really for specialists and for people who are interested in details. Now, regarding the search, one of the main problems we faced, and I don't know if we will be able to solve it, is connected to a general search. I think it would be very useful to have a general search and to insert a word and be able to browse the whole database. But for this, you would have to index all information in the database, and it's extremely slow. I don't know if it's an option or not. The IT specialist we're working with said that it will be impossibly slow, given our server and everything, of course. So I don't know if this problem can be solved in a different way or not. Okay. Another thing which I thought that could be done at some point, and I think it would be useful for certain categories of users, would be visualizing some things, especially the relationships. There are cases when this is easy, when this would be easy. We haven't done this yet, but would be easy to do. So in some cases we have this kind of small personal networks. So a guy, his family, and a couple of work connections, friends. This, you can put a link on the relationship or something like this, and this can be visualized easily. In other cases, if we are talking about more complex stuff, which would be interesting to link to the database, at least as bibliographical links. I'm not sure about how you could do it. We have, of course, a lot of research on this is a network of the Dionysiac Association, members of the association, their connections within, without the collegia, whatever. This is an analysis on the funerary monuments of soldiers and their connections with the troops within their family. You can see a lot of things on them, like social mobility. The father was an auxiliary soldier, the son is already in a legion, etc. And you have this extremely complex stuff, which extremely complex as quantity of analyzed data, which is a prosopographical study on all the people coming from a city. It would be interesting, again, from my point of view, to link them to the database, but I don't know exactly how. We might make a separate tab at some point with bibliography, online bibliography, but I would like to link them to the inscription and the personal files, which are directly used in this analysis. If you're just giving a general bibliography, I don't know who's reading it. Yeah. I'm trying to be realistic about it. Okay. More or less, I think this is what I wanted to say. If I've skipped important stuff, maybe you've realized that bits are missing. So thank you, and I'm waiting for questions. Please.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's a good idea not to have the images, because an image tells 1,000 words.
True.
And frankly, you know, if you've got to go back on Google and find it in another website, it's no good. You've got, I mean, I've had other digital talk, where they put the object, an image of it with the write-up. And I think when you get a description, it's really Rome, when you get it written on both sides in different centuries, to different people that are used, and you get style of writing changes. You can't see that from modern writing. So the style of writing in the 1st century is different from the 4th century, you know. And then you get bilingual ones. I can't tell that from that. You really do have to have images with it, because if you don't go to the link and go to somewhere else, it makes it disturbing. That's my opinion. I don't know what you think about it. For something, a database like this, it really needs
Yes.
for everything.
And
also for images, some of the inscriptions have decoration. So if you've got a baker, someone's got a car, which is what his profession is, for example. Images, so something as well.
We have a stylistic description of the inscription, and we have observation where you can say that it's been written on one side and then on the other, or I don't know what. We have bibliography. I get the point. I really understand the idea. I don't know if this is really the place to repost all the images with all the inscriptions.
Well, that's only my opinion. I mean, the other thing is the marble it's made from. What's the material it's made from? Is it local marble stone sourced from the site, or is it brought in from another area? Like, is it Greek marble brought to Italy, or Bulgarian marble brought to Romania? I can't see that in this database.
We're not particularly interested in that, in the information on the inscription, on the monument, on the stone, on the style, on the figurative elements of the inscription. We're interested in the people attested on this.
Yeah, this
on
is
this
not an epigraphic database.
No, it's not, and it was not meant to be an epigraphic database. Regarding what you said about the marble, in most of the cases in Dacia, we don't know. Honestly, we don't know where it comes from. In some cases we do, but this is already it's not something that the monument tells us directly. It's somebody's research. We know this through someone else's, made by some people, published by some people. It was not our purpose to give all the information available in all the bibliography on these monuments. It was not the main purpose. I understand the point, and yes, it's useful to have all the imaginable information in one place. We'd all like that, but logistically it's hard to create that one place. Please.
Maybe I could ask a related question, a little bit more general. Thank you very much for the talk.
Thank you.
Very clear and absolutely fascinating. And like you, I'm thinking about an existing large collection of data, making it more usable at the moment. And at the moment, I'm setting up a small focus group with people with different interests and abilities. And I wondered whether, is that planned as part of your process for making the material open access, talking to potential users about what they expect technically and in terms of the information that you'll be delivering?
Yes, this would be interesting and this would be useful. Yes, we don't have this. Our project in this phase ends in September, and we said we were going to have all the inscriptions from this area available online. But of course, any kind of suggestion from, and we've been online with the parts. We are online now for very little time. But of course, yes, any kind of feedback is useful, and wherever we can get it, it's important. External users see things which you don't see anymore after working with a tool.
Yeah.
It's like revising a text, a paper, a book. You don't see the mistakes at some point anymore. So, yeah.
I was wondering, when a user or an unregistered user looks at a personal record, they see only the bits and pieces of the general kind of information. But can you, to avoid getting 1,000 guest counts, at the bottom of the page have something like export full record and just allow the exportation in some format, CSV or whatever.
Yes.
Without having the person to log in to see everything if they needed to see everything.
Yes.
Would that be something?
Yes, we are going to have that. We are going to make it available with the next block of information transferred to online. We will have the CSVs available for download.
For individual records, or
No, no.
Or the whole thing? Or for
Yeah.
individual records?
No, the whole thing. For individual records, you have a couple of fields. It's one of the things we've also done, as you can see probably, is that here in our database, in the research database, let's say, when you open a person file, you see all the fields, of course, even if something has or has not been filled in. This we cleansed for the open access version. You only see the fields which have information because others don't have point. Please.
It seems that you use a quite refined and granular language to describe relationships among people. I was wondering if you used an existing resource for that, if you have thought of making this, some sort of ontology or standard.
For the relationships?
Yeah, and the occupation, and I mean, it seemed very, very detailed.
For the relationship, I've used the Snap ontology. And I had a couple of other relationships, but not many in addition. And the occupations I'm working on this occupations project on and on. And the occupations are basically the occupations attested on monuments, on stone monuments. So it's nothing more than the epigraphy in itself tells us. But yes, there are a lot of occupational titles, more than expected.
I was interested in your comments about some kinds of functionality which you left out because for purposes of optimization, purposes of speed. And I was wondering, for example, you talk about the various links that you could have to searches. So under occupation, you have a link for instances of occupation. And you said that would make the site very slow. Is that because these pages are dynamically generated? And therefore the database has to build this web page based on that identifier you clicked on?
Yes.
So it would, generating that. So one way of speeding up would be to have static pages, maybe generated overnight if the database has changed. When just the HTML page itself doesn't need to be generated on the fly, and that would make it slightly faster. And then obviously you click on the search, that might be dynamic, but would be wouldn't slow down this page.
Yes, I understand. But this wouldn't solve the general search problem, right?
No.
No.
I mean, the keyword search issue, when you talk about just typing in a word and searching across the entire database, that ought to be something that's tractable, because there is, this software that can search across a very large body of text that just has bags of words in it, doesn't have to worry about it being structured. And that again would be just a question of indexing it once in the background and having that index in a format that your search tool can query. I mean, that's the sort of thing, that's how databases and research, you would normally expect to do a live database search on the web page, especially on a single server. But I guess the other thing that having generated static web pages would be to enable you to have an even more efficient search, which would just be using Google to search it. And just tell Google to search only your domain and get back results in there.
Yeah, that could be an option, yes.
So yeah, I wondered about the static side, how much static pre-building could be done on this to make it a little bit more stable and quicker?
I suppose that, yeah, I suppose the personal files which have already been put online, so which are cleansed and everything, I suppose they could be made statical and refreshed only if it's the case, or
Yeah, well, the server could refresh once a week.
yeah.
And so related to that, I was wondering about these visualizations that you were thinking about. Were you imagining visualizations of the kind that you showed that someone has done and produced and created snapshots of, being made available somewhere for people to browse the data using? Or were you imagining dynamic visualizations, where someone does a search for people of the 3rd century with by occupation, and then it generates a visualization of that for?
No, I was thinking about what I presented.
Right.
And
because that something wouldn't be particularly burdensome.
No, I suppose not. I haven't thought about that actually, about dynamic visualizations, but I assume it would be useful and could be done quite.
That would be a bit harder and a bit more.
Yeah.
A bit more of a burden on the server, but that would be very cool. I've not seen many sites. EDH do a little bit of that, but I've not seen many sites that do dynamic visualization of this sort of material.
Yeah. If the server still works after you do this.
I said that, that's a nagging suspicion of this project, or I didn't do something down there.
I have seen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other media questions? Maybe then we'll finish the broadcast part of this. We can have more discussion afterwards. Can we thank Rada for this?